Started a little late today. Morning, everybody. So yeah, I got on a little late. I got caught up reading an article. Just sucks you in. Hey, Barb, Lillian, good morning. Hey, Chelsea. Hey, Maggie. Shelby, good morning. Hey, Mr. Money. Margaret. Margaret, oh my gosh. So Margaret sent 2 boxes yesterday. Let me show you guys. Let me. So she sent Chris, oh, looks like he already broke into it last night, all of these zebra cakes. And she got them in stock. Margaret's peppermint flavor nuggets. So they get to try peppermint nuggets. Ooh. And like this smells very heavily of peppermint. Fantastic. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you so much. And Chris said, he's like, oh yeah, Cinnamon said that she doesn't like zebra cakes anymore, so I should just like eat them all. I'm sure he'll share with her. It's a good thing that she doesn't know how to get in the house. Also, you know, I've seen so many other creators that their cows or horses come right to their windows, know how to open doors and stuff. If Cinnamon were closer to the house, because I know people have asked all the time, they're like, why don't you have them closer to the house? If they were, Cinnamon would absolutely be breaking in. You know, she would be coming in with the shiv that she made out of the fence post. It would be a stick up every morning. And I imagine, I imagine that anytime I walked outside, I would be accosted by Cinnamon and Pumpkin. So it's probably a good thing they're not right next to the house. They'd be overweight cows, which didn't know that could be possible, but you know. Did the neck tattoo hurt? Yes. It was a tickle. Yeah, it wasn't the worst one though. It was probably the easiest one. If you can get past the fact that your head is in the crotch of the artist for 10 hours. So if you're okay with that, then go for it. 10 hours. Yeah, she tried at the snack shack. Yeah. Yeah. The moment she had a chance, she was like, I can open that door. So yeah, it's done upside down, Scooter. Otherwise you'd be sitting up with your head back the whole time. Or they'd have to like straddle sit you. And yeah, so I think head crotch lying down works way better. Because they're not gonna lean over and twist to get it, because one, like the focal point will be off. And then they're not gonna straddle sit you usually. Well, like he's twice my size and 6'2". So yeah, that's not gonna work. I only sit for about 4 hours. It was 2 5-hour sessions. So excuse me, why do you have to sit right here? 2 5-hour sessions. I always try to, if the artist is cool with it, I'll sit for up to 5 hours. After that, like it's just grading. And there's, yeah. Plus I like to get up and walk around on occasion. Chris went down to take care of the cows. I already got an egg this morning. Somebody clocked in early. I wonder if they're like, I better get in there before Ginger does. I would. And actually, it's a nice site. Like, check this out. So this was today's egg. today's egg. So whoever the early bird was, and this is the usual. So there's a size difference. Yeah, check that out. I don't know who it was. It was already there. They're double timing. Better. Girls start earlier to avoid the rush. That's me. I'm the type of person I would get to work early by like 15 minutes or so. One, so I can decompress and like get my head wrapped around it. But two, to beat the traffic, the rush. You know, that's how I was. Yeah. Oh God. But owning your own business, sometimes your customers learn that you get to work early and try to come in. That happened in both of my businesses, the studio that I owned and the shop and the gun shop. I got 3 yesterday, Melissa, 3 eggs. So when I owned the studio, hi baby, oh, you're just a baby. When I owned the studio, I would usually go in like 2 hours early so I could do my training. And if you're new here, I've been a professional aerialist circus artist for the past 15 years. Primarily silks, straps, rope, lyra, you name it. So I would go in like 2 hours early because it takes me a good 20 minutes to get warmed up. And then like I get through my workouts and then I do choreography and stuff. So like I need a good like hour and a half block, and then I'd leave that half hour gap between my training and my students when they started, just to like chill, get something to eat, rest, recoup. Because when I'm training my students, obviously I'm in the air with them. So just give myself that half hour to like breathe before like getting back at it. Not as intense, but you know. Well, all of a sudden, some of my students would start showing up like 10 minutes early because they saw that I was here. And then it was like half an hour early. And then I had to put the kibosh on it when a student, I got there a little bit later than I normally do for my training. I was there an hour before my student, her lesson started. She showed up when I showed up. She showed up. I walked in, unlocked the door. She walked in right after me. She's like, oh yeah, I figured you were already here, so I just come hang out before my lesson. Oh, so you just want like a 2-hour lesson, basically is what you're saying. Or you think I want to sit here and talk with you for an hour before we start. I'd rather just go ahead and start your lesson. And I said to that, I was like, I came in early so I can train. Oh, well, you can go ahead and train. I'll just stretch. That's not how that works. That's not how my brain works. You have just disrupted my whole fucking training session. Because a lot of people ask me, why don't I train on live? Because I like to focus. I don't want to talk. I just want to focus on what I'm doing. So I actually had to put out like a notice to all of my students. Do not come more than 10 minutes before your lesson. It's fine if you want to come early and stretch, change, use the bathroom, whatever, get yourself prepared. But do not walk in more than 10 minutes before your lesson starts. And I had to yell at somebody at one point because she showed up 45 minutes early, interrupting my training session. And I was like, well, thank you, Jonathan. It's just, that happened a lot. And then with the gun shop, when we had we still have our gun shop. You could check out the link in my bio. You could shop with us online. But we had a physical location too in Pennsylvania. And, I would get there an hour early just because I like to clean up, get all my paperwork and everything together, make a coffee, just kind of get in the zone, auto zone, And eventually people caught on to that. They would see my car, or they would see lights on, and they would come and jiggle the handle or start knocking on the door. And I'm like, they do it worse with Chris. And I'm like, can I help you? And they're like, oh yeah, I just saw you're here. I'm like, yeah. And just, well, our store was in Pennsylvania. I'm like, nope, lock the door. And then I just got used to just not turning on the lights. And when people would come banging on the door to come in early, I just wouldn't open it. So then they would go back into their car and sit there and wait for me to unlock the door, and then they would come out. And people did that weekly. they would go try the door. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for the super chat. Go try the door, half an hour or so before we open, and then sit in their car. Like, it says noon to 8. Why'd you show up at 11? And then it was really bad during the ammo shortage because people would show up. We wouldn't even be back from picking up ammo because we had to drive to like Delaware to pick up our ammo and stuff. There was a shortage and we had like this government contract so that we could still get ammo. We were the only shop in the area that could get ammo. So we would get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, drive to go get it, come straight back. We would be arriving straight from Delaware, probably like an hour before the store opened. There was already a line forming around the building. We had to tell people to fucking move so we could just unload. And then eventually we just had to start pulling into the garage and unload through the garage. Instead, it would have been so much easier to just back up to the front door and unload that way. But there was already a crowd of people. No fucking way am I gonna like just have a bunch of cases of ammo just like sitting there considering. So, yeah, that was crazy. That's wild. Like both very extremely different businesses, but the moment that your customers understand that you come a little bit early, they're like, hey, just thought I'd go ahead and show up. No. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jonathan. I'm 41. Anyway, so Chris went off to take care of the cows. I already took care of the chickens. It's snowing. The high tomorrow is supposed to be 41, and then the day after that's supposed to be 47. So that's gonna be interesting. It's gonna melt a lot of snow, which is fine because actually it'll just like really compact and make the snowmobile trails like really, really nice. They can almost steer themselves at that point. Yeah, and when I worked at the restaurant, people always try to show up early. I don't get that. Yeah, people will try to sneakily take advantage of you. Yes. For sure. That was exactly what it was. And the one time that Chris, I told him not to do it. I warned him. I was like, you got to be strict with people because people push boundaries. This one guy was like, hey, do you mind if I come in at noon? And we didn't open. At this time, like, it wasn't a full-time shop yet. So we didn't open till like 2 o'clock on that day that he wanted to come in. And Chris is like, yeah, I'll come in. I'll meet you at noon. Come to find out, that was the guy's day off. He had all fucking day. All day. He could have come in at 2 like anybody else, but he just wanted to come in earlier. And I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. Chris did it. And now every week the guy would call Chris up and be like, you mind meeting me at noon? And Chris was like, no, you could come in at 2. And he still, for years, would still push Chris to like meet him early, like to let him come in early, come in and shop early. I was like, see, that's why you don't do that. You don't give him an inch. Yeah. Every single person that Chris would like give a little wiggle room, they tried to take advantage. So I think a lot of people in the shop, I mean, like there were people that liked me, but there was a lot of people that did not like me because I was not the person to ask for a wiggle room because I'm like, no, I have no problem saying no. Or like when, like the ammo shortage, it was really hard to get 380 ammo. If you remember back then, certain calibers were just fucking impossible to find. 380 was one of them. At that time, like a whole COVID thing, a bunch of like new gun owners were buying guns. People are icky and exhausting. Thank you, Maggie. So a lot of new gun buyers and female new gun buyers were buying 380. So it was fucking impossible to find 380 ammo. So we had to put a limit on it. If you came into the shop to purchase it, you could only get 1 box. And that, just because like we were only getting like a case a week. So, and a case was 20 boxes. So 20 boxes, but the demand is for 500 boxes. Yeah, it's just what it was, right? So Chris's, it's not even his uncle, it's his aunt's boyfriend came in and he wanted 380 ammo. He's like, yeah, I'll take some 380. First of all, he didn't want to pay tax. He's like, you're gonna make me pay tax. He thought that because he was dating Chris's aunt that we wouldn't charge him tax, which fuck. No, I'm not paying your taxes for you. Take that up with the government. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Maggie. And then second, so I put one box down on the counter. He looked behind me. He's like, do you have 2 more boxes there? I'll just take those 2. I was like, we have a limit. And he looked at me like fucking stunned. Like, I just told him no. Because, like, if he had asked Chris, and he looked at Chris, Chris just, like, puts his head down and, like, goes back to what he's doing. Because if he had asked Chris probably would have given it to him. And I just looked at him. I was like, I have other customers that I have to take care of. Yeah. So, yeah. It was hard to get 380 and 9 and 45. And just anything. Anything was difficult to get. It was just a nightmare. But that motherfucker, like I said, boundary pushers. That is my biggest pet peeve. The rage I get when you tell someone no, and then they're like, I'm going to do it anyway, or try to ask you in a different way so that you can get a different answer, or be like, let's just say that someone's like, hey, you know, can you give me a ride Thursday at 3? And you're like, no, for whatever reason. And then they ask, well, what do you have going on that day? Because they're fishing for a way to, like, get you to say yes, like, to make it work for them. And I don't do with that. If I said no, it's a fucking no. And the thing is, if you ask me why, I'll tell you the truth. And it'll be like, it's because I don't like you. So, yeah, it was hard to get anything back then, Deborah. Thank you, Margaret. I got to set a goal. Thank you, Margaret. Margaret with the zebra cakes and the Margaret's apple wafers, peppermint flavored nuggets. Thank you, Margaret. All right, let me do that real quick. There we go. Yeah, that and when they try to guilt trip, that's when I'm like, nope, hard no. Well, I'm like, so you and I are very similar, Philip, in that the moment that they don't take my answer, I'm just gonna dig my heels in harder. Like, asking me to do something when I've already told you that I'm not gonna do it, I guarantee you I will never do it now. I'll make sure it never gets done. I will never, no. I'm gonna remember that. And now everything you ask me, I'm gonna not do it, no matter, like, even if I was already gonna do it. Now I'm not. There we go. All right, there is our goal, 15 super chats. Yeah, that's me. Had a friend ask if I'd take 2 days off to go to Portland to take them to an appointment, but they never ask how we've been doing over the last month since Pat had surgery. Yep. Guilt tripping sends me through dimensions. Yeah. Yes. I think a lot of people, and this comes from my mom's generation. My mom, like, riding home from school, my mom was a teacher at my school, which that comes with, like, a host of other issues. She can't say no to anyone, and the boundary pushers have gotten used to that. They know that they'll ask certain people to do things, and they know that they can't say no. So my mom, the ride home with my mother was her bitching the whole fucking ride home about how awful her day was because so-and-so asked me to do this, and so-and-so asked me to do this, and this bitch asked me to do that. And like, even as a kid, I'd be like, did you say no? Well, I can't do that. The fuck? Yes, you can. Especially if you don't like that bitch and she was talking shit about you. I'll be damned if I do jack shit for you. Like, I will do the opposite of what you need me to do. Yeah. And I'm not even going to give I'm not even going to give you an excuse of I'm busy. It's just a no. And if you ask me why, I'll tell you the truth and you're probably not going to like it. So my favorite answer is no. Yes, exactly, Ashley. It took a lot of just retraining myself because obviously I was brought up by my mom and she would get upset if we said no or if we declined anything, we'd get in trouble or whatever. And as an adult, it took a lot for me to train myself to be like, you know what? No. I saw how miserable my mom was saying yes to everyone, and still to this day, I wasn't going to be that. I'm not going to be that person. Willow, it has been a lesson, but I'm getting better. Yep. Yeah. You all have to, hardcore people pleasing. Yeah. And like, you got to think, grew up in Alabama, Southern woman, conservative. Yeah. People pleaser to the max. And hey, Todd, good morning. I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to make everybody happy. I know that. And I don't care. Especially, like, now, if you ask me a favor and I like you, I will most likely do it because I like you and you're nice to me. But especially, like, in the gun shop, we would have people that were the biggest fucking misogynist assholes, just rude fucking people, always wanting a discount, never saying thank you when you bend over backwards for them. Like, nope, I'm not going to help you out. Not going to hold that for you. I don't even like you, so... I'm in my people disappointing era. So during COVID and all the shortages and stuff, it was also hard to get certain weapons. Like everything was just in short supply. Or people would ask us, they'd be like, "Can you hold this for me?" And during COVID, we didn't hold anything because Chris got burned too many times. He would say, "Yeah, I'll hold that case for you," and then 3 weeks go by and they never show up. And then I'm like, okay, you could have sold that 10 times over. So we stopped doing holds, no more holds. And Chris did this thing where he would let people put things on layaway. But we had to start putting a stipulation on it. Like, you have to have it paid off. Was it 90 days? We did a 90
It was originally 90, but then when it got really scarce, it was 30.
Yeah. So, like, layaway, but just on guns, not on ammo. So we started doing layaway, and I wrote up a contract that people had to sign that had all the information about the gun, about the price, what their down payment on it, all of that stuff. I made people start signing contracts because people would put guns on layaway and then never, like, not hear from them for a year. And then they'd come back and be like, "Oh yeah, I don't really want that. Can I get my money back?" And they would expect that they get all their money back. So I wrote up this contract saying, okay, you're putting this on layaway. Here's your down payment. If you cancel this, you lose your entire deposit. Like, you lose all the money that you put on it. And that helps prevent a lot of people from like holding, especially very popular weapons that other people would have purchased and then changing their mind, and then they just get all their money back. Like, no, that's not how that works. We had a couple people try that did the cancellation thing, and they wanted their money back. And for me, because I am who I am, I'm like, nope, you lost it. We had a couple people that like tried to argue to get their money back, and I'm like, remember this contract? Remember this?
Yeah, well, there were several people that lost their money. Most of the times, every time most commonly, I would call them like literally 2 days before their end of their contract, remind them, say, hey, and sometimes, I'd be flexible, say, hey, as long as you communicate with me, I'll give you an extra a week or whatever.
He's much nicer.
So I'm much nicer. However, it would only be one amendment to that. So like if it's a week, and I would tell them, all right, now we just conversed. It is recorded through our not on the phone, but through because I'm talking in front of our cameras. I say, I'm just going to be very clear. At the end of this week, if you don't come and pay for it, I will sell it and keep your deposit. And then I think out of the maybe 20 or 30 that we've done that way, 2 of them never showed up.
Yeah.
And it's not my issue. You had every opportunity. I was always very flexible. Things would come up.
Yeah. But I mean, we had a couple people that wanted their money back, and like,
I can't do it.
yeah.
I'm not in the business of holding stuff indefinitely for people, and or I'm not a pawn shop.
But also, like, we, especially when those Canics were hot, the SIG P365, when that first came out, you couldn't get them. So when we got them and someone wanted to put them on layaway, no. Like, now the 20 other people that come in this week looking for that gun can't get it because you have it on layaway. I could have sold it 10 times, and because you have it tied up in layaway, no, you're not getting your money back. So
It's a business, simple as that. I mean, we got to run it as a business, and then we even had so initially we had, I don't know if you told the story about several of the so-called friends we had that would tell us, oh yeah, I want that, order it for me, hold it for me, and I know 2 of them that did it to us, and they never showed up, and then
we had a couple that I thought were really good friends.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Honeywell did it.
And that other knucklehead that he claimed to be military. I don't know what the hell his name was.
Yeah, his friend.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in the Marines. But like, yeah, he also I think he did it twice, and then we never saw him again.
Yeah.
He put 2 guns on layaway, and they just never showed up. Honeywell asked for it, and you didn't even get a deposit from Honeywell. That pissed me off, because these new Canics had just the TP9.
No, it was the MC9s.
MC9s. The Canic MC9s had just come out. Everybody wanted them. Our distributor was really kind and let us get like 5 of them. And we only got 5 because him and like 3 of his buddy was like, yeah, I want one. We get them. We tell them, hey, they're here.
Then he goes.
There's Aaron's here. Yeah, they're here. And then they ghost us. And they never picked up the guns. They never purchased. So we had 5 of these Canics just sitting in the fucking shop collecting dust.
It's those shoddy people like Aaron that are trouble.
I haven't shot it yet, but got a Smith & Wesson Shield Plus N9 with the extended grip magazine. Fits hand like a glove. Now, any recommendations for upgrades or attachments? Thanks in advance. I don't think that's our Aaron. This is a different Aaron.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. So upgrades or attachments. I guess handguns. I'm not a real big
It's
person.
a shield.
Yeah, but saying I'm not really big on the attachments for handguns. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe a good light if you want a light for
Maybe, but then you're gonna have a hell of a time finding a holster that's
you need
gonna
to be a custom holster for it. But I mean, I don't know. Depending if it has night sights, maybe upgrade to night sights. I mean, there's not a whole lot that I would technically do.
Yeah. I mean, shit. I put like.
We put triggers in yours. We ended up not liking them. I mean, we've done a lot of things over the years. And there are some things you could do to upgrade them.
We put that optic on my CZ, and I hate it. I ripped it off and like went right back to irons because like I don't know why I prefer
well, that's
my
a learning
irons.
curve too. I mean, if you don't like the shooting with optics, then obviously then they're no good for you.
Yeah, but also with my CZ, I'm not shooting shit that far away. Like.
Well, a handgun's not designed to shoot more than
Exactly.
I mean,
so
if
like
it's a self-defense weapon,
putting
5
an
feet
optic
away.
on it is just kind of silly because and when we were doing all those training courses, like nothing was more than 30 or 40 feet away. So, let's see. No, I'm a first-time viewer. I like it basic myself. There you go, Aaron. Yeah, no, we have a friend named Aaron that pops in on occasion. But yeah, so there's not a lot, and quite honestly, I guess you could put a light on it if you wanted to, if it's super low profile, but you're still gonna have a hard time finding a holster if you want to holster it. And then, I mean, there's a lot of ranges that do tactical training. Have you ever tried training with like the firearm in one hand and the flashlight underneath? Because like, quite honestly, I would rather that.
It's all whatever you prefer, but also too, before you even ask for accessories, I always better question would be back to you. What's the application of the weapon for? Is it strictly self-defense, carry, EDC kind of thing? Because that's completely different than if you're, using it just for home defense and sitting in your drawer.
Right.
So I mean, I guess it depends on what you're using it for.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're never gonna actually leave the house with it in a holster, then just put a light on it. I mean, if it's never gonna get holstered, if it's just gonna sit in your console of your car or in your nightstand, put the light on it. But if it's something that you want to carry, you got to think the more accessories you put on a handgun, the bulkier it's gonna be, and it's gonna telegraph. Also,
too, if you do decide to get said accessories, practice and train with them.
Yeah.
So many people that I get accessories, and then in an emergency, they're like, "Ooh, how's this work?"
Exactly. Deborah, I'm like you. I like holding my flashlight underneath, except for the AR. But well, with the AR, if you got the AR, just put the fucking light on it, because I mean, you're telegraphing that one for sure. You're not concealing that bad boy.
Here's something I was listening to a Navy SEAL, what he does in his
Thank
house.
you, Kevin. Thank
Which
you for
is
that
fucking
super chat.
awesome concept. Is the fact that he has his whole property backlit, meaning there's lights outside, not
Oh, okay.
inside. So his mindset is if there's an intruder in the house, as soon as you turn the flashlight on, now you're a target.
Yeah.
Because now they can see the light.
Right.
So his concept was no light on his weapon, backlit lights around his property.
So you see exactly where they're
it said intruders in the house, they will not be able to see him as the person of the house, but he will be able to see the intruder because of the backlit behind him. I was like, that's fucking genius.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people that too. Like, if you have a light, you better learn to use it properly, and then
Yeah.
because as soon as you turn that on,
Thank you, Amy.
now all of a sudden the said perpetrator has a target.
Well, that's my thing. That was always my fear. Like, I would use a light sparingly, only when necessary. And at least if you're in your own home, on your own property, you have the advantage of knowing the layout pretty well. So a light, while great in theory, you're not going to be running around with it on because they're just going to know exactly where you are. So don't make yourself a target. And then the other thing about accessories, like people will have lasers, but then not be well versed in how to use them. I actually saw an interesting comment yesterday, and I was on a video that was completely unrelated. So I guess there was a scare at a cheerleading competition. 2 parents got in a fight, which like in Dallas, Texas. And they knocked over something, and the sound that it made against the floor sounded like 2 gunshots. So everyone started freaking out and running. And these girls who were outside, and these are kids, these are like high school, junior high school age kids, start running, and they're kind of trapped because of all of these like barriers, like parade barrier type things. Well, a bunch of girls just shoved them over and like jumped over the top of them and started running. And just to be clear, there were no gunshots. It was just a scare. Well, I read through the comments, and they're like, those dumb girls, all they had to do was pull the pin and the barriers would have opened up. And I'm like, my first thought is, in an emergency, most people couldn't tie their own fucking shoes, let alone, and I'm sure those girls did not set up those barriers, stop and like coherently be like, yeah, let me just lift this pin and make it easier for everyone to run through. When you're panicked, when there's an emergency, like it's like that SpongeBob episode where he like throws all the papers out. Everything has to go unless it's about fine dining, and you've got all the SpongeBobs ripping all the files out of the file cabinets. Like when there's an emergency, everything becomes like really narrow unless you've trained it, and simple tasks become fucking impossible. So the moment that you put a bunch of accessories on your weapon, if you are not constantly, like almost daily, just going through the motions of turning this on, turning this off, racket, mag dump, mag release, all this stuff, if you don't go through that often and make it second nature, when there's an emergency, you're probably going to fuck that up. Like turning on the laser, if it's not like an auto on sort of thing, turning on the light, you don't want to be fucking around with that if you're in an emergency.
I'll add to that.
Okay. Thank you, Lori.
I am a firm believer of no accessories. And the reason I say that is because if you become reliant on a set accessory, what happens if that set accessory doesn't work in an emergency?
Yeah.
Prime example, people that purchase lasers. I fucking hate lasers. One, because it's a crutch.
Yeah.
You should learn how to use the weapon and get on target naturally. If you get reliant on a said laser to get on target,
Shelby.
what happens that day when the laser, you forgot to turn the thing off and the battery's dead? And
I've
it's an
done
emergency.
that on my optics so many times.
So you go to use the said laser and all of a sudden it doesn't work. First thing you can do is panic.
Yeah.
You panic. Those several seconds of panic probably cost you your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't get reliant on shit.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
I feel like, and also I feel like lasers slow people down. Like if we're talking about handgun, first time gun, a lot of women want, and I'm not knocking women. I'm just typically, and this is usually from the men in their lives or employees at stores being like, oh yeah, this is your first one, put a laser on it, and I feel like people will spend so much time just trying to get the dot, like in the exact perfect spot. I would have dumped my mag already. You know, if
I don't
like
think we have a laser on any of our weapons.
there, I don't. Yeah, we don't have any
I mean,
lasers.
we have a light on yours.
Yeah.
On one of yours. And then we have a light on one of the ARs. Everything else is just natural.
Is it hard to get a carry license? It depends on where you're at, because not all states require them.
Although Trump's trying to make that reciprocate across the country.
Yeah.
Which would be
How
awesome.
many, real quick, and we've got 4 super chats out of 15, so we got 11 more to go, guys. Let me see. There's, how many states have constitutional carry? How many states are constitutional carry? Okay. As of February 2025, 29 states have constitutional carry, also known as permitless carry, meaning you don't need to go get a carry license. That is Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas. Where's the rest of this fucking list? Hang tight. Let's see. Stop it. Like all the pop-ups. All of them. When they want you to pay to read, no. The stuff that's like, that's just, okay, here we go. Okay, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, West Virginia, Wyoming. Those are the ones that you do not. Oh, thank you, Steve. Thank you for that super chat.
It's funny, the ones that require the most to get a carry license are typically the states that have the most gun crime.
Yeah, I know.
So, like, I know Louisiana or Illinois, horrible. You got to get your FOID card, all this training. Same thing, New York. You have to go through all this bullshit stuff to get, and actually even.
I can't even sell you ammo unless I see your FOID card from Illinois. Like, if people, thank you, Angie. Thank you for that super chat.
It's virtually impossible. Also, New Jersey. I remember I tried to get a carry permit to go through New Jersey since we were doing a lot of ammo runs during that whole rioting bullshit. They shot me down.
Yeah. Even with an FFL.
Yeah, even with an FFL, I couldn't get one.
Same in Washington. Yeah, New Jersey sucks. Oh, hey, Steve. Interesting. Thanks. I'm from Massachusetts.
No, I mean.
Oh, yeah. You're
Mass is another
gonna
problem.
be jumping through some hoops there for Massachusetts. They're
Well,
them, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey.
I would expect.
I would never live in those states because of their gun laws. So.
I know there's some stuff in the works now with Trump to make it a constitutional carry. He's trying to put executive order through. And
Are you eating eggies?
yes, I got eggs.
Cheater eggs?
Oh, yeah, a little bit of both.
He's got cheater eggs.
I just got to get rid of this shit.
Yeah, New York pain when it comes to getting a gun. Yes, I know. And
who does that affect? It only affects the law-abiding citizens.
Right.
You think a criminal's like, oh no, I better not go buy a gun because I'm supposed to take all these courses or classes to do so.
Yeah.
No, they go out and buy it in black market.
yeah, or a straw purchase.
Or
yeah. So
So I mean, either way, I mean, it only affects the people that follow the rules.
yeah.
Now, how about the people in California now? I just saw that knucklehead out there
The
made
governor.
it illegal to defend yourself.
Hang
Like
on.
it's,
I get like when we say stuff like this, I like to fact check. I like to make sure. California illegal to defend yourself. Let's see. Hang on. I see a right to defend yourself law, but Okay, it says, so no, California does not make it illegal to defend yourself. In fact, California law allows you to use reasonable force. Although the thing about law is, like, you can, hey, Miss Mary, thank you for that
I
super
just read that, I
chat.
misread it, because
Yeah, well, because people like to twist things so it makes something look more extreme than it is. California law allows people to use any force up to lethal force to defend themselves in defense of others if they have reasonable belief such force is necessary to prevent worse harm. Now, it does not call itself a stand your ground state. However, when they say it allows you to use reasonable force, that is subjective.
And that's
That's kind of like terms that the ATF love to use, because what I consider reasonable may not be reasonable to the arresting officer, to a DA, or to a judge. Yeah, it just depends on how extreme they are. And we've seen it before. How many times do victims get blamed for shit that happens to them? Like, so you have to be careful with that one, when the language of the law can be interpreted in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, when it's not black and white, and most laws aren't black and white.
Yeah.
They do that purposely.
Yeah, like, so where it would be better is if it said if you're being assaulted with a deadly weapon, you can use lethal force. Because if they've got a hammer, if they've got a knife, they've got a baseball bat, anything that could potentially be a lethal weapon, a car, that sort of thing. But they're not going to put that in the law.
Well, the thing that's frustrating, that's also up for interpretation,
Yeah.
because, not to say tout myself, but I'm very well versed in mixed martial arts. I don't need a weapon.
Yeah.
Within
I am the weapon.
Within a short amount of time, I could probably render you unalive.
Yeah.
But then, would they be okay by shooting me if I try to attack them?
Yeah. I researched that before we bought our house. There you go, Amanda.
Well, so did we. I mean, we weren't going to move up here if we couldn't run our business.
Sarah, thank you for the super chat. I'm sorry I didn't see that before. Okay. Actually, somebody called Chris a pussy the other day. In those comments, right? So like Chris had posted, because somebody trespassed on our property. So we posted to the snowmobile groups like, hey, don't come on my fucking property. For a lot of reasons, but it is posted no trespass. They went right by like 30 fucking signs that say no trespassing. And there were people arguing in the comments, you know, because this is fucking Facebook. It's Boomer Central, and they love to just go back and forth and like argue over things that, I mean, there's really no argument. It's our property. If I say no, this is the whole boundary pushing thing. It fucking means no. And I don't care what your reasoning is. It's a no, because it's not yours. Anyway, so this guy's going back and forth with Chris in the comments. And I kept telling Chris, I'm like, you gotta walk away from it. You're not gonna change his mind. You're not teaching him anything. He keeps going. And the guy goes to Chris. He's like, you look like a pussy anyway. And I had to laugh at that one. I'm like, ooh.
And some of them are locals. And I said to him, I
Yeah.
even said to him, I said, you obviously know who I am and where I live. I'd be more than welcome to have you come to my property and say that to my face.
They won't. And like, and again, people love having big balls in comment sections.
Well, what
And I'm
scares
like,
me, and
don't worry, I remember all faces and names.
Well, what scares
I will
me
find you.
is one of the things I have to go to tonight. The probability of running into one of these knuckleheads is high.
Yeah. So, Peter, also the environmental impact because of your drainage from your property. Yeah, you have no idea, especially where they rode through. That is a waterway. There is a creek that they rode through right there.
But all that is irrelevant. I mean,
Don't forget the potentially dangerous dogs. That is the other thing. I was concerned because they were over there by the cows, but like if the dogs had been out. My biggest fear is like when Barrett is off leash and if somebody comes ripping up the driveway. Like I don't want somebody to hit my dogs, but also Tank and Bullet are very protective. Look at them yolks. Look at that. Yeah. Look at that. You don't get that store-bought shit.
The whole thing is,
Anyway,
like,
sorry.
there's really no argument. It's our property. We paid for it.
Sean, Chris would tap out. Sure, Sean. You know that whole thing about like people love talking shit online because they couldn't back it up in real life? That's
Bring it on.
you. Thank you for letting us all know you're a giant pussy. So I'm in Maine, just found the channel. Hi, Chef Chris. Hey, David, how you doing? I finally got a place with land and getting chickens. Awesome, Square. Good for you. People always talk big on the internet, for sure. But yeah, so dogs are the best protection. Now, my thing is, the reason why we had an issue, like we don't want people trespassing, is I don't want them, because people will go like fucking 90 on the trails. And I don't want, and like the driveway, you can get up going pretty fast. And I don't want to be out for a walk with my dogs and have some asshole ripping up my driveway and hitting my dogs or hitting Chris and I. And it's a safety thing. I don't want to live in fear on my own property. Like, ooh, can I take my dogs for a walk, or do I have to risk somebody running over them?
Safety thing, there's a lot of variables. So safety with the dog, with us.
It's okay, Sean.
Secondly, our business is a manufacturer of firearms. We test and shoot shit on any given day. I don't want to have to worry about it. Some asshole on my property that might catch a stray bullet.
Exactly. So the guy that was trespassing the other day, he turned around
where we shoot
downrange. That is where we put all of our targets. That's where we aim everything that we shoot. He was downrange. He was where all of our targets are.
Thirdly, and probably just as important as all the rest, society today are crazy. Someone will come on our property, says no trespassing, get hurt, and then sue us.
Yes.
So it's like...
Well, yeah, imagine, so he drove over that waterway that goes across like our little logging trail. Mm-hmm. If he had gotten stuck, if he had gotten injured, because you could roll right there. I rolled my snowmobile over there. You saw, I mean, there's a huge hole in the snow over there because I rolled mine.
Yeah, and if they got hurt, then who would they be going after?
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't want to deal with it. So, did Chris's uncle resolve his trespassing problem?
No, that's even worse.
Oh God! So this is Pennsylvania.
They're in Pennsylvania, and his property isn't in a rural area like ours. So he's got 50 acres, but it's all surrounded by neighborhoods and shit. Yeah. So all these knuckleheads ATVing, hiking, dumping garbage on his property. And now, mind you, it's toned down a lot because he posted the whole thing, chained off a lot of this stuff. But he says every time he goes up there,
more crap.
Or he'll see on the camera, some asshole literally will be dumping garbage in front of a camera.
Well, like people, we have our cameras, and so many people, like that one logging dude, stood right in front of it and had no idea it was there because it blends in so well with the tree that it's on.
There is one person that he did press charges on because he caught him on camera, and the goofball turned his truck around right in front of the camera, so he got the plate.
Wait, so he did press charges?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And he went to the local police, and he said, "Look, I want to press charges against this person because not only was he trespassing, but then he dumped a bunch of garbage on here on the property." So, and my uncle's a little bit more diplomatic than me.
Yeah.
Because I told him I just would have picked up all the garbage, went to the guy's house, and dumped it in his front yard.
I have done that before. Remember when those assholes left 2 full trash bags worth of trash at the church, and we went and dropped it off on our doorstep?
Well, that also are one of our tenants. We did that too.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah, you did that to that crazy one. Yeah. So we have done that. We have, when people have left massive amounts of trash, we collected it all and left it on their.
I piled it on the hood of her car.
Yeah.
She had the audacity to leave all this garbage at one of the apartments that she left. Gave me a hard time when I told her she had to leave because she was a piece of trash.
Return the trash.
So I literally packed up all of her garbage. I knew where she was living and went and I put it all in the hood of her car.
Yeah. A couple days later, he got a message from her being like, "You piece of shit!"
Well, it wasn't mine, so you got it back.
Yeah, that was. He got an unhinged text message from her a couple days later, being like, "You fucking asshole, you piece of shit!" Like,
lucky that's all I did.
Yeah, I know. Could have been worse. When Chris is in high school, one of his buddies, like, he talked him into taking a shit on the hood of some girl's car. So I feel like Chris has slightly matured since then. He didn't take a dump on this girl's car.
If I had to,
he just put all of her trash. He just returned it to the rightful owner. So, Kenda, thank you for the super chat. So, I don't know if we've told that story before. Everyone's going to be like, what? Tell me that's not fake cheese Chris is eating. It doesn't melt. It does melt.
Takes a while.
It takes a while.
It is. It's fake.
It's fake.
It's fat-free cheese.
Oh my God. Yeah, he keeps it lean. But at least, you know what, Bo Girl? At least he's eating farm fresh eggs. He did mix some fake eggs in there,
I
but
had a hard time with it at first. I'm still struggling with it. When I grab an egg and it's got blood on it, I'm like, bleh.
it's just the Diva cup. Like
Well, that's it.
theirs comes in their own like self-packaged Diva cup.
Yeah. Well, you like to tease me with that. Like, hey, you want a sip? Fucking.
Grace, thank you so much.
Like the day I almost vomited taking out the garbage.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. There's also the horror story. Well, I mean, like, if you're a woman, you know, like bathroom trash cans, you don't put your fucking hand in. Okay. And so Autumn, like Chris, Autumn, and I had all just started living together. It was relatively new, so he's not used to having women around again, like, and bathroom. Hang on, and the bathroom trash that goes with it. No, because you make it sound. So,
But it was horrible.
yeah, so the trash can was full, so Chris went to take out the trash, and you know how, like, and this is why I put trash bags I have a liner in my bathroom trash can. Because I'm a woman, I know that I don't want to hand pick through that. I don't want that all over the inside of the trash can, so I use a liner. Chris did not. I'm like, okay.
Well, no, wasn't it?
No, you didn't do the liner yet.
There was a liner. What I did, because the thing,
It was full.
my lovely ladies that I lived with, it would always be heaping over.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. There was always stuff heaping over. So
You make it
me,
sound
I
like-
wasn't looking, and I reached in and I pushed it down before I pulled the bag out. And when I pulled my hand out, it was like
Covered in blood. Yeah. Yeah, he does wash the eggs, Maria. But you have to.
I lick them clean first.
Yeah.
And I add my own blood.
So anyway, it wasn't heaping over like he's saying, but like, you know, when you pick up the trash can to dump it out or whatever, if it's full, you want to, like, you know, make sure nothing falls out. Well,
Don't
he
pass down
used
your hand.
his bare fucking hand to push down bathroom trash. And when you live with two women, that bathroom trash is like,
All right.
I'm not touching it. Like, I won't even touch it.
Learning experience.
Yeah, and yeah, he never did that again. But like, yeah, we heard him heaving upstairs, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then him bitching, and I'm like, so why'd you put your hand in it? It's a big no. I bet he never blindly put his hand in the trash again.
Never.
I'm sorry, Chris, but I wouldn't use my bare hand to push down any trash. Yeah. Okay, so like the one in the kitchen, maybe. Like, if I know everything on top is
But it
just
wasn't
like
even a-
organic, you know.
I took the edge of the liner
that's organic.
and pushed it in because in my mind I'm thinking, okay, no big deal, I'll just push it in. But there was just so much of it in there. When I pulled my hand out, I'm like,
So, Chris learning lessons the hard way.
that's the only fucking way I learn.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever learned the lesson the right way. It's always through pain and suffering.
Yeah, no. I much rather learn from the suffering of other people. Really don't want to do that. I will learn from the mistakes of others.
Now we know that people will buy that.
Well, oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did have offerings. Somebody wanted to buy my bathroom trash. Oh, the internet is weird. That's when you run out of soap. Yeah. So, wait, you have that meeting tonight?
I'm trying to psych myself up to even go. I don't really want to go.
Yeah. Have a great day, Deborah.
But I'm thinking of it from a business perspective. It's probably a good thing. But man, just
Yeah.
the thought of hanging out with people I don't want to be around.
Well, you don't even know them yet. But you
Well,
have an
after he
idea.
told me what they do to start the meeting, I'm thinking I don't know if I want to be part of this.
Oh, one time my dog tore up the bathroom trash, and my ex-husband was startled to learn that women use more than one tampon a week. Well, oh God, did he think we just like leave the one in the whole time? Oh.
There's a lot of not making fun of your husband, but a lot of men that
She
have
said ex.
are actually I'm not that have no clue how women work.
Yeah,
Not saying I'm like perfect at it, but I have a better understanding than most.
yeah. But you did like a OBGYN, like,
Even without that, just
Yeah.
because I was in I was in nursing, still, I mean, I think most men think women are there to cook, clean, and fornicate. That's all they're good for. Or they don't know how their bodies work, how they are emotionally connected, disconnected. Like they're
Yeah, I
dumb.
think you're more emotional than I am.
Well, you're different. I mean, if anything, our roles are kind of flipped. You're the dude. I'm the. I don't even want to say that.
Lady man.
It
He's
downgrades
my
me.
lady boy.
But as far as emotions, yeah,
Yeah. Well, just because.
you're cold as ice.
No, it's just because like I'm pretty even keeled. Like I am a manifesting generator with a sacral authority, so my emotions don't really like have a lot of highs and lows. Whereas Chris is a projector, he has an emotional authority. He has a lot of peaks and valleys, and you never know what will trigger those things. And don't feel bad. A lot of people have an emotional authority. Those are the people that you see, like in these videos on TikTok and stuff. They'll go to speak with Charlie Kirk or some other podcaster or whatever, and they immediately start name calling and insulting and yelling. Like they immediately raise their voice. Those people typically have an emotional authority. So they have a lot of peaks and valleys. And what I find, just because Chris, Autumn, a lot of the people that I have surrounded myself with have that emotional authority, is I just try to always remind them, like, don't ever make decisions when you're on a peak or valley. Don't make decisions when you're super happy, and don't make decisions when you're in a piss ass mood. You got to find that middle, and then that's where you have to like have the control of yourself and be like, okay, this is where I need to decide on that, you know? And because they fluctuate so frequently, it's not like you have to wait long, you know? Can Chris tell us what they do to start that meeting? I'm curious now. Oh, okay. About your Lions Club.
I feel like I'm in like that.
I
I should
love
be
my
wearing my
masculinity.
fucking pooblah hat or whatever the hell they call it.
They have hats?
No, I'm just saying that's a Shriners.
Okay.
From what I was told, they start the meeting off, which I'm not opposed to, like Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, we're American. So he says like, oh yeah, don't find it weird, but they start off the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, and then what? They sing some Lions song, like Lions Club song. I'm like, are we fucking like kindergartners?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
So I was like, don't mind me, I'll be in the back laughing.
I just always, anytime that I was subjected to things like that, I have to step back because I cringe internally. I'm like, it's just, I can't get it out of me, and I'm not trying to make fun of like Shriners or Lions Club or anything, but for me, I'm just like, oh God, embarrassing.
It's definitely second to embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Just like when people sing happy birthday, I don't like that either. I'm like, why do we have to sing?
Well, that's a little different. I mean, I can't imagine if,
Not to me.
I don't know, I mean, that's like, I'm telling you, what kind of clubs was I ever involved in? Not many. Like even like our fighting stuff, like that's like us going up to the dojo to go train and fight. Before we start,
Let's sing, guys.
if we sang the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd be like, that's kind of odd, but okay, because we're all American, we're all, you know,
Yeah.
pro US.
And then,
But if
then they break
like,
out.
we made this other song, you know, to sing about our school and how I'm like no, stop.
They bring
done.
out that razzle dazzle.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
soon
not a
find out.
group singer. A video of that would be epic.
Oh,
though.
trust me, I'm gonna have my phone with me.
And I don't know, like that might not go over.
I'm not gonna sit there like this. I might just sit there and just put it on the table and let it, like you can hear it, maybe audio.
I'm sure it's online somewhere. Unless, but are they like? I'm guessing they're not to the level of. What's the one I'm thinking of? The really secretive one. Not the Illuminati, the Masons. Oh God, when they came
They're brutal too.
when they came to
our-
the shop. Oh gosh, that was the other thing.
The audacity they had too.
The audacity, and Chris is like, Caleb, be nice. And I'm like, so they came into the shop because they wanted Chris to become a Mason. And they came into the shop. I happened to be there, and, you know, I'm just kind of like doing work at the computer. And they start talking to him. And then they kind of like keep looking at me like, is she going to leave? We don't want to talk in front of her. And Chris is like, no, you can talk in front of her. It's fine. And the guy kind of gives me this really cocky, kind of condescending, do we have permission to talk to him? To me. And I was just like, I guess, or it was asking my permission if Chris could join. And I'm like, now why would you need my permission? And I just like, I questioned like why he was talking to me in that way. And they all kind of like were like, he, and then they kind of disappeared and never came back. So, and I
Well,
know.
these clubs, I mean, like this Lions Club, if I went there and it was like, because it's supposed to be for all business owners.
Mm-hmm.
If I went there and it's like, no, we don't have women here, I'd be like, well, that's a deal breaker for me. Not that I care if women are there or not. However, when they segregate shit like that, like
Yeah.
the Masons, strictly men, they don't want, you can't,
Yeah, they didn't
you
even
can't
want to
talk to, you can't associate with.
They didn't want to talk about anything to Chris in front of me.
It's like, what's so fucking
And I
private?
will say, because I don't know much about Masons, I don't know, my only experience with them was one guy that I knew in college, didn't like him. And then these 3 men that came in and were so fucking condescending and arrogant towards me. I was just like, that kind of, that did it right there. It was just like, oh, and he also made jokes about like, he was like wanting to get his wife a gun. And he's like, oh, but I'll only put in 1 bullet at a time. So she like just suggesting that
she's unsafe.
She couldn't handle having a firearm. So he would only load 1 bullet at a time for her. So she didn't like end up accidentally shooting him or whatever. And I just like, it was just like these terrible misogynistic jokes like right in front of me. And like, and I called them on it. And I just don't think that they liked the fact that I would call them out on it. And I'm not saying that's all Masons, but these motherfuckers in this area and whatever group this was, yeah, fuck those guys.
And that's a lot of it, though. I mean, I know Pennsylvania, where we were, I'm sure is not unique, but it was just crazy how much of that went on. I mean, how many people would come into the shop and be like, one, they don't want their wife to know anything that they're doing, don't want to know how much you're spending. And then I have a hard time when they're like, they're referring to their supposed wife or supposedly someone they love and they married as like a dead weight kind of thing. Like, it's like, oh, we got to do something because my wife is torturing me to do this. Or I'm like, why the fuck are you even married to these people if you feel that badly about them? I mean, I don't know. They're just,
they were weird.
boggled my mind.
Yeah. And we had a couple of people that would come into the shop who were openly like hated women and stuff. That one guy, he was gnarly. Although he never said that to my face, but when I wasn't around, he would go on these big rants about
how women because they get rejected by them.
Yeah.
Now, you know, they want to be with the woman in the worst of all ways.
Yeah.
But since they have the personality of a stone,
yeah.
they get pissed off at
And
women.
I'm like, you wonder why we don't want to be around you. You're a fucking asshole. And like all you do is insult women. Of course we're gonna be fucking bitches. Like, and this is why I'm still single. Yeah. Man, it just never ceases to amaze me. So anyway, Chris is doing that today.
May or may not, I don't know. I mean, I'm committed in my brain, I'm committed to it, but I'm like,
Just do it.
I'm hoping something comes up to where it's like, ooh, oops, I can't make it.
Sudden snowstorm. Exactly. It'll be fine. I wonder.
I just wish it would be like meeting and then done. Like supposedly, it's like meeting, couple of drinks, salad, hors d'oeuvres, and then they take a break, eat, and then they come back to conclude the meeting. I'm like, dude, I'm out as soon as the food comes.
What's Chris's club about? I have no idea. No idea.
It's supposed to be business related, like a community thing.
Oh.
Like Lions Club is designed to like raise awareness, help stuff going on in the community, businesses interacting. I mean, it's not a bad thing to do to have people find out about our business. And I'm not opposed to helping the community. I like doing stuff for like seniors and veterans and stuff.
Yeah, so Nina said, my dad is in the Lions and it would be great for your business to join. So
That's kind of why the only reason I'm doing it. Not
Yeah.
because I want to make friends.
nothing wrong with that. It's like, well, I was going to say like the junior league, but not really. That's more of a social thing. All right, guys, I'm going to hop up here now. I'll be on later doing some painting. Actually, while Chris is at his Lions Club, we can paint and giggle. So I'll be on. What time are you leaving for that?
Probably 5-ish.
Okay, so shortly after that, probably around 5 p.m., between 5 and 6 p.m., I'll be live for some painting and stuff. As a geologist, we raised beer glasses. Kayla's Club. Have a great day. All right, you guys. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'll be live on TikTok later for more art. Yes, Kimberly, I got to remember to share to the Discord. So I'll try to share to the Discord so you guys know that I'm live on TikTok later. Enjoy your day, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.